Hello, good evening, and welcome to a digital forensics short course. Let me start with a short introduction of myself. I'm Tanveer Zia, and I'm full-time academic at Charles University. My background is computer science, basically a computer scientist, and I started my academic career uh, by teaching at UTS in Sydney, and I liked it, and I proceeded with a master at UTS and PhD at University of Sydney. My focus was information security. But 5 years ago, the opportunity came at CSU, and I had the opportunity to develop a digital forensics subject, which is part of information system security master at Charles University. So since then, I've been teaching this subject, and we have seen the large growth in number of students participating. I remember in the first offering there were only 40 students back in 2010. Gradually, that's improved. Last year we had around 120 students, and this year 280 students completed this subject earlier this year, which included our students from our partner institutes in Sydney and Melbourne. Yes, now digital forensics is evolving discipline and very young. I mean, IT itself is very young when you compare it with other major disciplines. And by no means I consider myself expert in this area. However, with experience and with the self-learning for past 5 years and interacting with people like yourself who are in IT industry for many years, I have developed some understanding of this course. And just to give you a bit of a more recent example of my involvement in digital forensics, I mean these few photographs are just from last week in September 11 to 13. I was one of the keynote speakers at International Digital Forensics Forum, which was held in Xinjiang in China. So I had the opportunity to interact and meet lots of people. I mean, there were more than 150 delegates from over 14 countries, from high-tech digital crime to policing and computer forensics expertise. Yeah, so some of the background, and as I mentioned earlier, that primarily I work in IT security and gradually have developed myself towards digital forensics. No, that's a short introduction. So before we move on to our curriculum for tonight, for the first week, I would like to invite Jason Howard. Now, Jason is the course director at CSU, who looks after IT courses, which includes Master of Information System Security, in which this subject is belong. Yeah, I'll hand over to Jason for a couple of minutes for his introduction about his role as well as the courses he looks after. Over to you, Jason. I'll turn to your slides.
Great, thank you, Tanveer. Welcome along, everyone, tonight to the first webinar on digital forensics. And as Tanveer mentioned, I'm the course director from Charles Sturt University for computing courses. So just making sure everyone can hear me okay. Can you get my voice through okay, just to make sure I'm not talking to myself? Good, okay, excellent. So I'm the course director for computing courses at Charles Sturt University, and I just want to take a couple of minutes of your time just to make you aware that the subject that you're doing tonight and in the ongoing weeks on digital forensics is actually part of a subject that we offer at Charles Sturt University, which is an accredited university in Australia, well regarded, particularly in the IT postgraduate space. So the full subject at CSU is coded ITC 597 Digital Forensics, and you can see there on the screen all of the different topics that we cover in that full unit. So you're certainly going to get a sneak preview of some of the topic areas over Tanveer's short course in the next few weeks, but the full unit really is based around helping you to understand and gather the technical expertise and knowledge that you need to investigate, detect and prevent computer crimes. So this subject, as I said, appears at CSU within a number of our courses. So I'll just get the slide there to move on. Some of the courses which the subject appears in which you could do this subject within are the Master of Information Systems Security. So that's a 12 subject masters. You can see on the screen there on the left hand side, it consists of what we call 8 core subjects which all students must do. So you can see at the top of the list there we have digital forensics, a lot of other units that are of great interest including network security where you're learning about cryptography and cryptographic protocols, information security. Further down the list you have a subject ITE 514 professional systems security which is based around the CISSP certification and which indeed prepares you for that certification. Another good thing about having a close link in this course between our subjects and many industry certifications is that you may be entitled to credit for those subjects. For example, if you hold a CISSP certification. So on the left is those subjects. On the right, there's a couple of electives you can choose, academic electives which are more theoretical, and the industry electives down the bottom which are more industry based, and typically those industry subjects correspond to particular industry certifications. So for example, ITE 512 incident response effectively corresponds to the curriculum from the GIAC Certified Incident Handler certification exam. ITE 516 down the bottom right, hacking countermeasures, effectively corresponds to the EC Council Certified Ethical Hacking exam. So one of the really good things about this Masters is that in addition to getting a Masters program, a Masters degree, you're also preparing yourself for industry certifications. So that's one of our Masters programs that includes the digital forensics subject. Another one, the next slide, is the Master of Management Information Technology. Similar, but of course based more on the, as the name suggests, on the management side of things, particularly good if you're a technical person looking to move into middle management. The Master of Management IT consists of a number of core managerial subjects in areas such as strategy, marketing, human resource management, but it also allows you to choose an industry specialisation which is based around a particular IT specialist area such as security. The security subjects are on the screen there. They're very similar to the ones on the last slide. There are subjects there on forensic investigation, but there are also specialist areas from networking and systems admin and project management. So another 12 subject masters. We do have a number of other specialist masters at CSU, including in the area of mobile applications development and project management, for example. So we do have a number of those. If you do want to ask any questions about those, please get in touch. I'll put some contact details up on the screen shortly. So just quickly over the screen, and we can look now at why would you choose Charles Sturt University. We're a great institution, but I think what really makes us stand out is our market leadership in the IT postgraduate space amongst all Australian universities. And you can see there on the screen that CSU, in terms of postgraduate IT enrolments, that is master's degrees like we're discussing here, we have the greatest number of enrolments throughout Australia, which I think is testimony to the quality of the programs. Students are voting with their feet to do our master's programs. So over the page, next slide, just looking now at entry pathways. So if you have an undergraduate degree and you have some experience within the IT industry, there's no concern, you would get directly into the masters, and we offer this masters. In fact, it's designed to be delivered by distance education. So it's designed for you to study while you're working online, and that's our specialist mode of delivery. We're very experienced in delivering it that way. If you don't have an undergraduate degree, but you have a number of years experience within the IT industry, there is a pathway for you. You can see on the screen there, the little box on the left says graduate certificate for subjects. So if you were applying but you don't have an undergraduate degree but you do have experience, what we would do is put you into a graduate certificate in one of our courses, and once you successfully pass that, you move on to the masters and you take all of those graduate certificate subjects with you as credit, effectively then leaving 8 subjects to do the masters. So please, if you don't have an undergraduate degree but you think you might have enough experience, we invite you to get in touch and talk to us about possible entry into one of our master's programs. So just over the page, nearly wrapping up now. What are some of the benefits? CSU is one of the leading providers of distance education courses in Australia. We deliver all of these courses online and they're very interactive. You get to graduate with a prestigious postgraduate award. There's not much higher than a master's. There is a PhD, of course, but that really is more for people heading into academia. But in terms of a great postgraduate award, a master's is at the top. It's designed to be studied by distance education in a very interactive online study environment. As I mentioned, we're the leading provider of IT postgraduate courses in Australia. Because we offer so many sessions over the years, you can in fact finish your master's in 2 years of part-time study, and your graduate certificate, if you went via that pathway, you would do in a little over half a year. As I mentioned, there are pathway options for those who don't have an undergraduate degree. We have 3 intakes a year. The next session starts on November 16, so if you do want to enrol in the Masters, you could apply in October and be accepted hopefully to start in November of this year. So look, if you're wondering whether you're eligible or not and you would like to see before you actually apply whether you might be eligible, you can take our eligibility survey, which is at the bottom there, www.itmasters.edu.au, am I eligible? And if you do have any questions about the course in general and you want to contact us, business_courses@csu.edu.au. For those who are really keen, right down the bottom, you can go to csu.edu.au/apply and apply directly into the course. So look, that's all I will say tonight. Thanks so much for listening. Please get in touch if you have any questions about our courses, and enjoy your digital forensics short course. Back to you, Tanveer.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, now I'll back to the slides. Okay, what I'll do is for just a minute or two, I'll turn on my webcam just to give you face behind the voice, but we'll keep it only for a minute or two. No, okay, hopefully, okay, yeah, there you go. So that's me. So I'm sitting in my office at Charles University Wagga Wagga campus. I can see that by looking at the intro post that people have joined from all over the world. Some of the countries which I just come across by quickly looking at the posts are Denmark, China, Nigeria, Ghana, USA, UK, obviously Australia, and my apologies if I have missed any other representation. Once again, thank you, given that the time zone differences. I'm not sure other places what time would be, but thank you very much for joining this course, and hopefully by the end of 5th week you will have something gained from this course, at least initiation or inspiration to get into digital forensics and explore more. Okay, so I'll switch off the webcam and then we'll move on to the slides. Okay, great. Now what I'll do is I'll run a few of these slides for next say 15-20 minutes, and then we'll have say 5 to 10 minutes break for question and answer to see if there are any immediate questions which need to be addressed. Then I'll carry on for another 10 to 15 minutes talk on the slides, and the last 10 to 15 minutes I want to dedicate showing some hands-on activities followed by some questions. So I'll keep the PowerPoint slides talk as less as possible, given that most of you can access and read from the PowerPoints. I'll try to go more into interaction and discussion part of this short course. Okay, so you have seen the curriculum for 4 weeks. Our first week is basically setting the scene about digital forensics. I mean, again, looking at the intro posted by most of you, and people have come up from variety of background. Many of you have experience in system administration. Many of you are in information security. I saw some people from financial side, from banking side, some people from management. So I'll try to keep it balanced, both technical and non-technical contents in this course. But feel free to post the questions in your questions or email, or perhaps post in the forum on the Moodle site, and have some response either from the peers or from myself. Yes, so first week is we'll try to understand the investigative process, how the investigative process is different with the computer forensics or computer-related investigations as compared with the traditional forensics and investigation. So that will basically give us the understanding of the role of a digital forensics investigator, how you will aid to law enforcement agencies, as well as you're hiring attorneys or lawyers in terms of establishing a case, setting the case, and presenting the case in a court of law, and coming up with a conclusion, either through your expert testimonies or your role as a forensic investigator, as a fact witness. We'll also look at the two major areas of forensics, computer forensics. One is the corporate computer forensics, and the other one is the criminal forensics. And the last point is we'll explore a very popular computer forensic software, which is called ProDiscover Basic, developed by Pathway Technologies, and we'll have some exercise. In fact, the two exercises which are part of your this week's homework are to be completed. In fact, some of you have actually done those exercises, so congratulations to those people who have already attempted and completed these exercises. For the rest of you, yes, we will be using ProDiscover. The software is provided and available on our Moodle site. Okay, so let's start with the understanding. I'm sure most of you can define the term forensics and then relating it with the computer forensic. So, I mean, the terminology of forensics is not new. It's been there for 40, 50 years. And in traditional terminology, so we have been going through the biomedical forensics or biomedical sciences to determine or to find the evidence and to determine the innocence or guilt of people involved. Now, what is different with the computer forensics? We are particularly referring to the technology or zeros and ones, the bits, the digital information. Okay, and the rest of the whole process follows as it is in the traditional terms of forensics. So all we have different here is we are dealing with the evidence which is digital. Okay, and this makes the life of a computer forensic investigator more tricky or more difficult in a traditional sense. When a forensic investigator is on a crime scene, they can see that, okay, say there's a weapon there, there's a knife, or there's a gun there, there's a bullet there, or there's a blood there, so they can determine what is happening, or they can have a sort of visual of what has happened. But with digital forensics, once you say seize a mobile phone, for example, or a thumb drive or computer hard disk, you wouldn't know what is in there. That might be just innocent data, or there might be some data of interest which can lead to either a crime or disciplinary action if it is a corporate related investigation. Yes, so basically analyzing the digital data which could be presented, proved, and replicated in a court of law, either in a civil, criminal, or administrative cases. Okay, now these are some of the images I just drawn from Google Images. So, I mean, you will be surprised at how evidence can be concealed. And apparently, these very innocent pictures, but they have a capability to store a large amount of data. And given the more storage available to us, and access to that storage so frequently at a very low cost. People have tendency to store more data, share more data, and people with a say ill mentality or ill objective in mind, they can abuse these systems or this say extraordinary storage capacity. They can abuse that and create some issues where they can end up into some criminal or I would say disciplinary activities. Okay, so the first part here on this slide, you can see that the forensics, this only terminology, that's a traditional way of describing what forensics satisfies, and the aim of forensic science, and in particular in digital forensic science, is we are looking at to construct or reconstruct an incident or a scene where we can identify the suspect, apprehend the guilt, or we defend the innocence and prove that in a sense, and understand the due process which involve either through a criminal investigation or a corporate investigation. No, there are lots of. I mean, if you do Google on digital forensics or computer forensic, like I'll be using these terminology interchangeably. Computer forensics is the first terminology, and digital forensics is drawn from there. That digital data is not just placed on the computers, unlike 20 years ago. So digital data is not on any digital device. Look at, your smartphone or handheld devices. Yeah. So if we use the terminology computer forensics, so that would be referring to any sort of forensic where digital data is involved. Yeah. So you can search Google and find lots of different definitions. One definition which really strikes me, and I like it, that was published in Forensic Magazine in 2007, which says that the digital forensics is that branch of computer science and an investigation process where, for legal purposes, analysis of digital evidence is involved, with a value that is stored or transmitted in binary form in zeros and one, and after having a right, search authority or warrant, a chain of custody is established, and validation with mathematics algorithms such as hash function is carried out to ensure the legitimacy and integrity of data, and validated tools are used, and these tools have the capability to repeat themselves, to repeat the whole process of evidence collection, and then reporting and possibly presenting in a court of law. It seems a bit lengthy definition, but that covers all aspects of digital forensics, right from technology perspective, from legislative perspective, as well as from presentation in the course perspectives. But again, in simple terms, we'll try to compare the digital forensics with the other related discipline. As I mentioned briefly earlier, that the term computer forensics is referred more about obtaining data or retrieving data from computer hard disk or any other storage media which is connected to computers, while digital forensics is more about digital, like any device which has the capability of storing digital data. Right from your CCTV cameras, your car's cameras fitted in your any other, say, digital or even still cameras. Where eventually the photographs are stored in digital form, mobile phone, your voice data, video data. Yes, so digital forensics basically encompasses all sort of digital data storage. Now, and then looking at the network forensics, where we're looking at the trail of data, that how somebody has gained access to the network. So finding that trail, finding that footprints, that how somebody has broken into a firewall and got into a secured network system is specifically referring to network forensics. Now, some people, they get confused with the with the data recovery and digital forensics. The bigger difference between the two is that with the data recovery, we are trying to recover lost data, which was lost accidentally or intentionally. So we know what we are trying to recover. We know what we're trying to find out. However, with the digital forensics, you wouldn't know what you're searching. You might spend hours or sometimes days to analyze a large storage media. At the end, you wouldn't find what you were looking for. So that's a major difference between these terminologies. And taking it further with the computer forensics, yes, we are recovering data which users have deliberately hidden it, and ensuring that data will become a concrete evidence, either inculpatory evidence or exculpatory. Now, these two terminologies, inculpatory evidence referring to incriminating, and evidence which can lead to a crime, that the crime was committed, a crime happened, and then following the due process to apprehend the person involved. Or it could be exculpatory, where we are looking at the evidence which could exclude, which could prove a person's innocence and exclude that person from going through a legal process. Let me give you one example. Say if somebody sends you a text with an image, either you get that text through normal GSM network, or you get that text through a social media application like such as WhatsApp, or Viber, Line, or IMO, or Tango, whatever the apps you use. You found that the text message has got an image which is distracting, which is not you wanted, which is not you expected. Say child pornographic image, for example. You immediately deleted that because you didn't want that image. However, if your smart device, your smart mobile phone is connected, is synced with your cloud service, even if you have deleted from your mobile phone, but due to automatic synchronization, that image has been stored on your connected cloud service. And it happened that your mobile phone comes across to the law enforcement, and the trails of that deleted images are found on your mobile phone, and with further investigation it is found that that image is stored on your cloud while you're innocent. So trying to prove your innocence through the investigative process or digital forensics process is called the exculpatory. That yes, we're doing the forensic investigation, but that investigation is to find the trail where that message come from, and where that image has come from, and to prove your innocence, that you did not deliberately store that image on your cloud service or on your mobile phone. It was pushed to you, and immediately you deleted it, but it was stored due to the synchronization. Similarly, another discipline is disaster recovery, where we use computer forensics techniques to retrieve information which are lost, either through natural disasters or due to surge in power. So either way, investigators, the forensic investigators, they have to work in team to make computers and networks secure in organization. As a forensic investigator, you will work with the system administration, you will work with the computer security professionals, you will work with your attorney, with your lawyers, you'll work with the law enforcement agencies. So you're just one aspect of the broader investigation process, which would be, which would lead towards, a particular case of incident or crime. Okay. Now, a couple of other things before I talk about the case law. Now, how digital forensics fit with the broader IT security aspect is we look at a triad of information technology where vulnerability or threat assessment and risk management is one corner of that triad, and the network intrusion detection and incident response is the second corner of that triad, and then digital investigation is the third corner of that that triad. So so you as a forensic investigator will not be working independently, but you'll be working with other people who are involved with the vulnerability testing, with the threat assessment, with the penetration testing, with the network intrusion detection, and you'll find your place when an incident occurs, and then you're required to basically investigate and find the evidence. Okay, now while we are talking about case law, now the technology moves very fast. The technology is evolving, it's dynamic. However, our legislative process is not as fast, is not as evolving. In fact, at some stages, the legislative process becomes a hurdle in terms of using the technology to prove innocence or guilt, or to prove an evidence that this was a concrete, legitimate evidence. Yes, unfortunately, the existing laws, they are not up to date, and with the technology professional, we have no control in changing those laws. So sometimes it happened that computer forensics investigation, they have to look at the traditional, the existing or the previous cases where a judgment was made, and if a similar case is being investigated, those judgments will be considered as a pathway to decide on this existing or this new case. Okay, now the computer forensic resources, what you need to do, what you need to learn, in simple terms, lots of technical knowledge. Okay, you'll have to go as back as a disk operating system back in 1990s, and the Windows 9 onwards until today's operating system, and then all sort of platforms. So these are the core knowledge which a computer forensics needs to make themselves a successful and more effective forensic investigator. Okay. Now, I have listed a few of the computer user groups which are important for current or future computer forensics practitioners to be part of those. ASA, Australian Information Security Association, has got a digital forensics group. Go on to asa.org.au and see the activities of this forensic group. They often have their monthly or sometime more frequent meetings and discussions. Yeah, so it costs nothing much. I mean, ASA membership is only, I think, $75 per year. So yeah, so once you're ASA members, you can join the forensic group. This sorry. Now, the second is the forensicfocus.com, another great source for forensics investigators. Try to go on that and join the mailing list for forensics.com. You will see a variety of cases being discussed, some data being placed for you if you want to work on some existing data to develop your forensic skill. Magneticforensics.com is another great source, provides you some applications and some tools, as well as access to some recent cases in forensics. And then looking at the high-tech crime groups. High-tech crime groups would be mostly under the law enforcement. So depending which country, which place you are, so in Australia, we have under Australian Federal Police, under AFP's website, high-tech crime group, which deals with the IT or computer forensics related cases. Okay, now if you're based in the United States, you might want to look at HCCIA, the High-Tech Crime Investigation Association, and becoming part of that. I think, again, for this association, membership fee is also around $70. Again, not a big money for 1 year, but access to lots of resources and lots of tools and cases and some data to investigate through these sites. Yes, so other than having the technical knowledge, you need to be part of broader user groups where you can share the happening in computer forensics. So building a network of computer forensics experts and other professionals, keeping in touch through online social networks, LinkedIn, Twitter, or other social networks. Yeah, so having an interaction with the outside experts can provide you lots of information, lots of knowledge. As I said, that forensic is a dynamic, is evolving discipline where things change every day. Take a look at an example of say mobile phone forensics. I mean, you wouldn't know how many hundreds of different mobile phone models or new versions of those models they appear every few weeks. So keeping up to date with those with that large variety of technology, a large number of technology requires a larger networks to be built, and interaction and exchange of volunteer information among the experts. Okay, now I would like to pay attention on these two types of computer forensic investigations. One is the public investigations, and second is a private or corporate investigation. Now, depending on your role, I mean, if you belong to an organization and a forensic department of a larger corporate environment, the cases which you'll be dealing with will be more likely to be corporate investigations or private investigation where litigation or the criminal justice is not involved. However, if you're working for a law enforcement authority or for a law firm, you might be dealing more with the public investigations, which involve the agencies responsible for criminal investigation and prosecution. And these are the formal legal process and legal guideline, and these guidelines, they vary depending on the jurisdiction where you're from and which state or country you're working in. More importantly, law of search and seizure would be involved when you're working on a public investigation. So I mean, law of search and seizure refers to protecting rights of people, including suspects. Say, if you have seized a mobile, like if you have a warrant to seize the mobile phone, that does not automatically give you authority to go and search data on that mobile phone. So basically, I mean, that might that might get you into trouble, or you're hiring an attorney and get into trouble if you do not have a warrant to search a particular storage device, and then you went ahead. Maybe that evidence will not be admissible in a court of law. Okay, let's have a more closer look at private or corporate investigations. As I mentioned briefly, that the corporate investigation that deal with the private companies, non-law enforcement, government agencies, or lawyers. So take a look at example. Say if you're hired by a corporate, a larger enterprise, and employees, they got into say misuse of the employers' technology, say misuse of their computing systems. So I mean, mostly the employers, they provide these tools, the computers, laptop, iPhones, iPads for work purposes. And if they want to enforce the policy that people should not be using this one for other than the work purpose, and if they suspect that people have been spending hours doing shopping or chatting or interaction on online social networks, or downloading stuff which is not allowed according to that organization policy. So investigating these sort of cases and finding the evidence to prove a breach of organization policy. Yes, so these sort of cases will be more looked at in a private or corporate investigations. Yes, I mean, sometimes these investigations can get into a litigation disputes, and if the litigation goes ahead, or while examining an employee's computer or laptop, you as an investigator, you come across with some more disturbing material. Say, for example, if the incident was investigate whether this employee has used for number of hours their work computer for non-work related tasks, and while investigating that, you found on that employee computer there's a child pornographic material sitting there. So that obliges you to report that case to law enforcement authorities, to police, and in that case that corporate investigation becomes a criminal investigation. Okay, yes, with the criminal cases where a suspect is tried for a criminal offense, so I mean, you can think of any criminal offense: burglary, murder, molestation, and as I mentioned earlier, child pornography. Yes, so and that case will be treated exactly as a normal case where whether the computer was involved or not. Say if a murder case is being investigated in a traditional term, the same due process will be involved. The only difference is that the computer or the technology was used as a tool to commit that crime. So to prove that crime in a court of law, along with the normal legislative process, you are simply aiding to that legislative process by providing your expertise to find to basically establish a chain of custody and find the evidence to basically strengthen the case and follow the legal process. Now, with the corporate investigations, here are some of the examples that you might end into investigating. Cases of like email harassment or bullying at workplace from superior to their subordinates, or employees fabricating data, or discrimination, gender discrimination, age discrimination, embezzlement, sabotage, or more commonly industrial espionage, where a disgruntled employee has passed on to corporate secret or competitive data to competitors in the same industry. Okay, so after this slide, we'll pause and see if there are questions before we move on to the next. I'm looking at, since we spent some time in introductory slides earlier. So yeah. So now, I mean, to avoid the investigative the corporate investigation, one way is to ensure that employees, they are aware of companies' policies. Companies' policies are published, like those warning banners, if you recall from your work placement, where warning banners clearly mention what are the do's and do nots while accessing the organization data. But this becomes more tricky when with the BYOD, with when bring your own devices, when people are allowed to bring their personal laptops or mobile devices and to use for their work purposes. So the lines become more blurry, that at what stage the device was used as a personal tool or as a work tool. But anyway, I mean, if you're working for an organization, so ensure that you make to your management much more clear that to set the organization policy visible and accessible for the employees, so that they know what is allowed and what is not allowed. Yeah, so when a case becomes more of disciplinary action, so there are lots of people involved, which includes the corporate security investigative professionals, corporate ethics office, corporate equal employment opportunity office, the HR, internal auditing, and the general counsel or legal department. I mean, yes, these will be some of the people you'll be dealing with when you'll be investigating a corporate related incidents. And here are some of the situations where abuse or misuse of corporate assets happened: email abuse or internet abuse, excessively accessing or browsing the internet, or downloading videos or copy protected material on corporate networks. And the last point here, the silver platter doctrine, is a terminology which is used, which I mentioned earlier, that if a corporate case becomes legal case, then you must basically then the forensic investigator have obligation to report that one to the police. Okay, Yeah, we already talked about that. So before we go on to professional conduct, let's look at if there are any questions which need to be answered. Okay, immediately. Okay, so most.
Tanveer, this is Neil McCosh.
Yep, Neil.
I've got one from Andre. Is it a law to display warnings to employees?
It's not a law. It's mostly the corporate. I mean, look, basically, organization they try to protect themselves at the same time the employees. Uh, uh, so it will be more like awareness or warning for the organizations to the employees to basically to ensure that they are confined by the organizational policies of use or misuse of organizational assets. There's no law, but again, in the common sense prevail. Although if it's, for example, if not, it was not worn, it was not displayed, and an employee went into misusing their organizational assets or abusing the assets, so there should be or there should be a policy from that organization's HR, maybe which may lead to a disciplinary action against that employee. Yep.
Thanks, Tanveer. I have one from John. Is there a global organization that determines legal digital forensic frameworks and processes, or is it a very much country by country approach?
Okay, mostly, I mean, without going into any debate, I mean, we follow American guideline and legislation more closely. So NIST, National Institute of Science and Technology in the United States, have guidelines which are accepted broadly in other countries as well. I mean, we in Australia, we follow those guidelines. So if you go on to NIST.org website or just do Google NIST computer forensics guidelines, so you'll be able to access those guidelines. They're publicly available. Yeah, thank you, Neil.
One more, I think, and we won't have time to do them all. If looking for a financial fraud case, yet stumbling onto, say, a sexual preference log, where does the distinction occur if no law applies to it?
Okay. Look, if, for example, if the current legislation is quiet on a particular incident or scenario, that's the reason why I mentioned the case law. We'll look at the repository of the cases in COM law. COM law is Australian law repository, which basically publishes the previously completed cases in Australian courts. So maybe your attorney would be able to, like your lawyer would be able to guide you whether there's any existing case and whether the current case fits on in terms of similarities of that existing case. So basically the judgment from that case would be followed on to onto this new one when the law is quiet on a particular scenario. Okay, so we'll keep the other questions for later. Is that okay, Neil?
That's fine. Thanks,
Okay.
Tanveer.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. All right, so now the last few slides before we go on to the hands-on. Now, I mean, look, I mean, these slides are very much, I mean, if you're already part of a professional society or association such as Australian Computer Society or ASA, Australian Information Security Association, or IEEE or Engineers Australia, depending, or CPA, depending what discipline you're from. So all these organizations, basically, they set the ethics and moral standards of behaviors. And for forensics investigators, beside the technical expertise, it is very important to adhere to the professional code of conduct. Let me give you one example, one scenario. So if you're presenting yourself as an expert witness or a fact witness in a law, and your opponent attorney has come across that 10 years ago you were involved in any unethical incident, maybe I mean, pardon me if I say that, say in a drunken brawl, and that case was, went to, through a legal process. So, and after, although that happened 10 years ago, but that can basically discredit you as an expert witness. So, I mean, your integrity will be questionable. So that's why it is very important to establish yourself. Or, for example, I mean, we are no angel. We are no innocent. So if, for example, in our young life, past life, if there was a case which was, which involved a legal process, so making that available, like in your CV, mentioning that's what happened, and then you were cleared off, or that's finished. Yeah. So hiding something which was, which could basically discredit you in a court may not help. So yes. So basically, setting yourself or presenting yourself as a person of integrity, moral value, ethical values is very important when you are presenting yourself in a testimony. Yes, so you can enhance your professional conduct by joining more professional association. You can also keep a journal of your fact finding, like while you learn your forensic skill, attend workshop, conferences, and vendor courses, become member of professional organizations, and achieve a high public and private standing, and maintain honesty and integrity. Now, these two links were already provided in Moodle. So basically, you'll see that, I mean, if you're planning to set your own forensic lab, so what sort of accreditation and approval you need. So the National Association of Testing Authorities, Australia, NATA, has got a computer forensic lab guidelines. And if you want to look more globally, you can look at American Society of Crime Lab Directors specifications to set a forensic lab. Yeah, so this is, I think, one of my last slides, where, like, I mean, to sum up, what you need is to become a successful forensic practitioner is lots of technical knowledge. I mean, as much as you can. And obviously common sense. I mean, common sense prevails. Remember that there's always a systematic process. There's a logical process of doing the forensics. So yeah, so thinking out of the box is very important. I mean, think of all those CSI and those, investigative dramas or movies. We're always something, out of the ordinary clicks in mind, and that helps solve the case. Attention to detail, and very importantly, the last point, persistence. I mean, this is not a case where you click a mouse button or you swap your biometrics and you get the outcomes and result. Now, sometimes you have to spend hours sometimes carving a 4 gigabytes of thumb drive, and sometimes it takes days to take image from a larger storage device. Okay, now here are some useful links. Now, although we do not provide the textbook for this short course, I have provided here a link to an ebook. Now, this is freely available. Feel free to download this PDF. It's around 500 pages book and freely available, written by Fred Cohen, and not very old, a couple of years. Yeah, so this is a great source of those people who are starting their forensics career. And since we are using ProDiscover Basic, the second link is a YouTube video, a short 25 minutes YouTube video to give you a bit of understanding or get you started with the ProDiscover. So please watch this video before you attempt the exercises for this week. And then a couple of more links here. Forensics Wiki is a great source as well for detailed forensics data and some tools which are available, and the High Tech Crime Investigation Association, HCCIA, we mentioned earlier. It's an American organization which gives you access to lots of cases in the United States. Okay, now what we have covered so far is our first week curriculum, digital forensics and investigation. Now let's go to a bit of hands-on ProDiscover Basics. Okay, now what I'll do is, so I have ProDiscover installed on my computer, so I assume some of you have done that. If you haven't done that, please do so. in this week so that you could complete the exercises. Okay, no, my forensics tools. Okay, the Pro Discover. Okay. Sorry, this on my second monitor. Okay, here it is. So now I'm not sure whether you have noticed that, but let me start again. Okay, I'll bring on to this monitor. So click on Pro Discover Basics. So once you have installed the file provided, so you can, okay, yeah, so once you open, basically the first launch dialog box is so that you can basically start a formal process of starting a new project. You can type in project number 123 or project file name or short description, or simply click cancel. You can do that one later on as well. Yeah, so this is the main menu for Pro Discover Basics. You can see that clearly there are three major sections. Left hand side, we call that a tree view, and then here major window, we call that a work window, and the bottom we call that a data window. So yeah, so you can basically explore that, and once you have installed Pro Discover, let me take you to where it will be. So okay, it will be in your program files. So in program files, look at the technology pathways. In technology pathways, Pro Discover, so that's where your installed files are located. So what I want you to do is read through, I'll quickly skim through this Pro Discover manual. So that will give you all sort of starting information, as well as more advanced information how to use Pro Discover Forensics. Yes, please read through that one. I mean, lots of readings, but again, yeah, so any issue with installation, please refer to this manual when you are or any issue with using the Pro Discover, please refer to this manual, and the video link which I have provided you is very useful. Okay, so I'll close that, and we'll go back to the forensics. So what I plan to do is, I'll apologize in advance for going beyond the time, but for just a few more minutes, and I'll show you one short exercise. Now we use Pro Discover basically to basically take image of a storage device, say basically to acquire the image from a hard disk, USB, or any other storage media, and then it gives us the opportunity to analyze that. So we have already some images available. So in fact, a couple of images are provided to you so that you can perform your exercises. So what I'll do here is I'll show you a short exercise of examining a particular image collected from a hard disk. Okay, so okay, just bear with me, please. Okay, so basically to add the image, so what we'll do is, okay, I'm gonna capture and add image. The first option is when you are capturing the image from a storage device, but since I have already captured image, I'll simply click on, okay, before that, I need to create a new project. So I'll say new project, so I'll call this project number, I'll say week 1. Okay, okay, I would say, let's give any name, say analysis, for example, and description of any description you can add. First image analysis. Okay, click on that. So basically that has set up our week 1 project. So next what I'll do is so I'll click on the image file. Okay, so go into action. I'll say add image file, and then I have this this image already taken. So I'll click on that. So you'll see that image, and if you click on the images in the content view, if you click on the images, you see that the image which I have just imported appearing over here. And as soon as I'll click on this image, that will show me the files in that image on the work window. And when I click on any of these files, say since this is the text file, that will show me the data in that text file. And you can see that some of these files are deleted files. So that's another beauty of ProDiscover, that it can show you the deleted files as long as the files have the deleted sectors of that storage media are not overwritten by any other data. So yes, in this example, say this is a short text over here. So yeah, so you can see that we have imported an image over here. We've seen that in a work window, and we can see that the data over here. The next we can do is I can show you a short exercise of searching a particular keyword. So let's say I want to search a particular, say here, George, for example, is mentioned over here. If we want to search how many occurrences of this particular keyword are in this whole image, I'll do a content search. You can see over here, a content search. So clicking on this particular button for content search opens the search window. So okay, in this example here, I'll click on select all matches, and I'll click on ASCII, and I'll type over here the key term which I want to search, and then obviously I'll click on, it's automatically there, the image which we have. I mean, if you have more than one images open here, they will show over here, and then you have to click on which image you want to search. So let's click on this, okay. Now that will show me that the files where the term, I mean that particular key term was used. So let's say take a look at the example of say letter 1. See that? I mean this time the George is appearing in blue. So basically the key term which we are looking for is telling us, I mean this tick mean this checkboxes mean that the word George has appeared in all these files. Now we have to go and look at individually in these files in what cases and how this has appeared. See, this data is being shown in ASCII, so, and number of occurrences of the term George. Obviously the George is the name here, so that's shown over here. So take a look at say this XLS file. And now the interesting thing is that if you double click on this file, you can basically open that these files, and they will open up. For example, this Excel file is opening in my second monitor, appears over here. And the more interesting thing is, I mean, this was already a readable file, but letter 1, for example, here is deleted. But if I double click that, so that will open up that text file as well. Basically, that will simply, yeah, so it will restore that file. Now, sometime the data could be more than one pages. Like in this example, regrets, this doc is only one page. I mean, this is where we'll know if it's one page or more. But if we go back to, say, the first one, see that MDB, this file, client info, and you see that from here, if you're able to click next or back, that means this particular file is more than one pages. So I mean, as you can see that on first page we can't see the term George here, but given that the checkbox is appearing here, that means there is George somewhere in this file. So we'll go on to the next page. We'll see whether George is there. We can't see in there as well. Okay, we'll click on next page, page 3 here. Can we see? Okay, let's browse and see if we can find the terminology in page 3. No, let's click on the last page. Okay, so it can't be, we might have missed it. So let me go back one by one again. Okay, on page 1 we can't see. Okay, let's look at page 2 and look at bit slow scroll. Okay, going down. Okay, next one. Unless I am browsing it too fast, should be some occurrences of the terminology. Okay, you might have to look up there. This is what I said earlier, that persistence and time is very important when you are looking at a large. I mean, if you look at even the file sizes, I mean, this seems to be, I think, seem to be nearly 100 megs, given that's a database file. So you might have to look at, more closely. Yeah. So this was just one short example how you can use ProDiscover. Now, given that we are beyond our time, so what I'll do is I'll go back to our slides. I don't think so. Okay, I'm not saving this this project. So the last slide is what we were looking at. Yes, so we have covered the forensics investigation, the process, its definition, and the two types of investigation, corporate and criminal. We have looked at the related disciplines. We look at the importance of skills, and we also had a brief look at ProDiscover Basic. I have provided you the links to the tutorial. Feel free to Google, and you'll find lots of other resources. Yeah, so our next week plan is we'll look at data acquisition and validation processes. We'll have an exercise on ProDiscover Basic, as well as we'll have a new tool, another tool, WinHex. WinHex is, I mean, if you want to work earlier, you can download that. It is basically, it's a freeware. You can download that. Some people might find instead of WinHex, Hex for Windows, another equivalent application. You could use that one as well. Okay, now let's get back to questions before we call it off. Okay, questions. All right, Neil, if you don't mind helping me with the questions which are really burning, we can answer those.
Okay, quite a few are looking where to download ProDiscover.
Mm-hmm.
Tanveer.
Okay, no.
So I presume that's it.
Okay, no, the ProDiscover was actually, ProDiscover Basic used to be free until June this year. I remember when I was writing the curriculum for these 4 weeks, it was freely available. But when I looked at last month, first time, I mean, I can show you the link to the site. They have made it, I mean, the technology pathway has made it yeah, so like we have to purchase, although the cost is really low. It's only, I think, $50 for basic version. Just give me a second if I can get that. Okay, let's type in. Okay. Okay, move the questions. Yeah, so I mean, this is the official website, and say that see that due to increase in cost to develop, maintain, and distribute, we regret to announce that we can no longer provide the software for free. Yeah, so this is the I mean, just last couple of months. So I mean, if you want to have fully functioning version, version 9, which is the latest one, you have to purchase that. Otherwise, the version which we have provided, I mean, the distributor the publisher which we deal with, which has provided us the ProDiscover Basic, has basically generously allowed us to use that software for this short course. So we're thankful to them. So, however, the version is 8.2, I think. But again, that's fully functional version, and all the exercises which we are doing in this subject will be able to do that in that version. So I think let me bring you to the IT Masters or this subject training website. So just bear with me. So that should be training.itmasters, is it, Neil?
Learn.itmasters.
Sorry, learn. Okay, not training. Thank you. Learn.itmasters. Okay, I'll show you where the software you can download. So you will log in. I believe all of you have access to your logins, and okay, so if you're doing only this short course, you'll have digital forensics here. If you're doing more than this, so you'll have all those courses appearing here. So click on that. So if you look on the right hand side, okay, you will see that, or actually let's look at the main window over here. In fact, I missed that earlier. I should have basically given you a run through of this, the course overview. Some people might have questions about the certificates. How do you qualify for the certificates? So click on this. So you will see the criteria for certificate is weekly hands-on tasks 30%, weekly quizzes 20%. It's only 10 multiple choice questions in each week, and the final exam, which will be 40 or 50 multiple choice and true false questions, which will be held in the week 15 to 22nd of October. Okay, so going back to our, okay, yeah, so this is the study guide for the first week. So the first week webinar slides already available there. However, I have made a couple of changes in the slides which I presented tonight, so I'll send that to Margie and she will replace those slides, but mostly 98% same slides. And then here are the links provided to National Association of Testing Authorities Australia for guidelines to establish a forensics lab, and the American Societies of Crime link, and then required downloads for hands-on labs. So if we click on this, that will take you to a link where you can download the files which are needed to perform the exercises, and the ProDiscover, the 2 version, x86 for older system, or x64 for the recent system. Yes, this should be able to work. I saw from a few posts in the discussion that some people have actually done some of these exercises already, so that's a great work. Okay, what else we have here? Yes, the weekly quizzes over here. So once you think that you're ready, anytime during this week before the next week, please attempt this quiz to basically just evaluate your own understanding of what we have discussed in this first week. Okay, going back to questions, Neil.
Yes, okay, so just clarifying that for a few people, Tanveer, is the ProDiscover version we have okay for the next 4 weeks?
Yes, that's version perfectly fine for the exercises. In fact, the exercises which I'll be providing, yes, so I'll test before making those exercises available. So the 2 exercises which have been provided can be completed in the current version.
Okay, I'll just look through the questions quickly. Does encryption stop digital forensics happening?
Okay, that's a very good question. In fact, we'll discuss that in much detail in next week. Look, encryption is one of the challenges. in digital forensics. Say if you come across with a fully encrypted hard disk, the first thing before you can even look at data would be breaking that encryption. So now to decrypt any storage media, we have to rely on all those techniques which we use, whether it's a brute force or social engineering, getting the culprit to spit out the password or the encryption techniques. Yes, so basically we have to rely on those ordinary techniques. So there's no specific technique to basically deal with the encryption medias when we're doing the forensics. Anyway, we'll have a much more detailed discussion next week on that.
Okay, look, there are a lot of questions. We'll have a look at the ones we can before the next session and do a quick summary, I think, either on the site or before we start next week.
Okay,
so
excellent.
I think that'll do for now.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Neil.
Thank you, Tanveer.
Yeah, and I thank you. Thank to all people who have participated in this short course. Hopefully that was helpful, and hopefully we'll see that from the numbers participating from next week. Thank you very much, and have a good night if you're in Australia.